NGSCsports.com. Before I forget, NGSC Sports, we never stop. I am the lead NBA writer and content manager for the site, so let's get that out of the way. This does benefit me as well as them. But check them out. We're Sports Clearinghouse. We write NFL, we write MLB, we write NBA, we write NHL, we write college football, college basketball. As we said, the NFL draft coming up. And we do a ton of sports shows. We've got some wrestling news. We've got some junior college news I believe it's North Central College out in New York. We're doing or New Jersey. We're doing their football games and basketball games. So check it out, ngscsports.com. ngscsports.com. We never stop. And you can find this podcast and many other radio shows and podcasts on iHeartRadio, TalkShoe, and Spreaker. That's SPREAKER.com. Search for NGSC Sports and you'll find it. Once again, this is What's Good Radio. I'm, as always, your host, Jake Stanley, a.k.a. Jumping Spider, the Worldwide Web Slinger. And we're getting into this NFL talk now. Specifically, dance Travis Kelce did a couple of days ago and some of the minor controversy it caused. I haven't really seen too much on Twitter. Now, a lot of stories don't have staying power on anymore because social media moves so fast. But this is an interesting story to me. Because watching it was Monday. NFL games have been played on Sunday. And Travis Kelce, if you don't know him, he's a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Travis Kelce scored in their game to put them up 3 points, as Dan said yesterday. And he hit this dance called the Quan. I can't describe the Quan to you. Just go look it up, Quan. I don't know how to do it. There's some dances I just don't know how to do. But Travis hit this dance. He celebrated like guys celebrate when they go in the end zone. It's a well-known fact. Guys celebrate when you go into the... players celebrate when they score a touchdown. Some people like it. Some people don't. It's always been the nature of the game. However, the NFL is notorious for throwing unsportsmanlike conduct flags for excessive celebration and for taunting. College football does the same thing. It's like an almost automatic excessive celebration penalty. You know, you can have one guy, but you can't have two guys celebrate. You can't coordinate anything. You can't do any domino moves, things like that. But Travis Kelce at this dance, I don't think there was any flags thrown. But they showed it on Monday on SportsCenter, and SportsCenter anchor Robert Flores, who I believe is an ass. He's said some ass things in the past. He can be condescending, whether he's right or wrong. But he made a very salient point. He asked why there weren't any letters to the editor or outraged citizens pouring in emails or faxes or tweets about Travis Kelce dancing and how it was a bad look for the children and how it was unprofessional. And he said, because he's not black. This comes off the heels of Cam Newton, Carolina Panthers quarterback and MVP candidate, dabbing on them fools a couple of weeks ago. Those fools specifically being the Tennessee Titans. Shout out to Von Brown and Hayden Shaver, man. Y'all my peoples, but Cam got you guys. I know you appreciate it, but Cam got you guys. But it's sad to say that. But Cam hit the dab because I think a defensive player sacked him earlier in that game and celebrated about it. So Cam scored, and he came into the end zone and hit the dab. DAB. I don't know how to do that dance either. That one's complicated. I don't work on dances and watching YouTube. So maybe if I see it at the club, I can actually do it. But I can't do it right now. But look it up. It's cool. I'll tell you that much. It's a good dance. So Cam did this dance. Titans players were upset. He did it again because it was a closer game. But Cam was a little maligned by the fact that the defensive player had kind of strutted on him, so he strutted back, and there were some minor tempers flaring and whatnot. Now, we talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. A mother who was at the game with her daughter, who was a Titans fan, wrote a letter to the Charlotte, I think it's the Times Observer, but don't quote me on that. I think that's the Charlotte paper. But she wrote a letter to the Charlotte, North Carolina paper saying that Cam was being unprofessional, and it colored her and her daughter's time at the game, and her daughter was saying all these quotes about, doesn't he have kids at home, where's his mom at, and she directed her daughter's attention to the cheerleaders, this and that and the other. Stop that, first of all. Your daughter didn't say that. Your daughter didn't say that stuff. That's like the most transparent attempt at putting words in a child's mouth that I've ever seen. Ever seen. And so Robert Flores made this point of comparing the two, and he's not wrong. Now, what Bomani Jones and Stephen A. Smith are suffering from is the fact that they've said stuff like this a lot, and because Stephen A. is outspoken, 1A, because Bomani is outspoken, and 2, because Stephen Smith is wrong a lot. Bomani is just right and smarter about things than Stephen A. is. And that's coming from a guy who really, really liked Stephen A. Smith a couple years ago, especially in college. They get accused of race baiting about this stuff all the time. Robert Flores said it, and it didn't really cause that much of a big deal. Like, it was a minor storm on Twitter for about a couple of hours after it happened. And I remember watching with Alberto, and I was thinking, like, why is this such a big deal? You expect Robert Flores to say stuff like that. He's, like I said, he's an ass. And usually guys with that mentality are like, well, I'm going to say this. They thought about it. Sometimes they don't. But usually guys with that mentality are just like, I'm going to say this. So it didn't surprise us. It seemed to surprise everyone else. That was the funny part. Everybody else seemed to be really, really surprised about it. But he's right. If Cam Newton can't dance, Travis Kelce can't dance. And so the fact is that they can both dance. And the main fact about that is Cam Newton can dance. First of all, Cam Newton can dance. Second of all, it's not going to end the world, and it's not the moral breakdown of society if Cam Newton dances. Just because you don't know what the dance is. Oh yeah, the mother talked about the pelvic thrusting while she was a Tennessee Titans fan. Let's talk about the fact that Elvis's mansion is in Tennessee. You know what Elvis got famous for? Doing that hound dog pelvic thrust on live television. Yeah. Credit to Marcel for that one. He brought that up in the show yesterday. But yeah. Don't just get out of your feelings, people, to quote Dan. Don't just get out of your feelings. Have some sense. Goes for me, too. I posted something in error last week from the Chicago Tribune, though I still maintain that it wasn't written as well as it could be, but it ended up being a satirical piece that I interpreted too literally. So, there goes that. Just taking a little breather here. Let me get some water. Man, in my roller derby, I used to do these double headers, and I'd be yelling for 3 or 4 hours at a time. And I still feel like my voice was better then than it is now. I've just been talking. Maybe it's because I feel like I have to shout and direct my voice or whatever, but I don't. Either way. Moving right along, I want to thank all of you for listening again. Check the podcast out on soundcloud.com/the-jake-stanley as well. It will be posted there, as it has been for years and will continue to be until this bad boy gets real big and we get on the radio. Moving on, I had a discussion with the guys yesterday about the Laquan McDonald case. I don't want to go too far into it now, but we did discuss what has to happen with police. Since I talked about Laquan last week solo on the show as well, we just kind of agreed that this blue code of silence really has to go by the wayside, because we felt for the most part that that's how these crimes are perpetuated. In the case of Laquan McDonald, in the case of Dante Servin and Rekia Boyd and Dante Servin, and in other police brutality, other police assault, other police murder cases, there's something to be said for guys sticking up for each other just because they're police officers. Sure, you guys are on the same team. There is a brothers in arms kind of military mentality to police forces everywhere. And you gotta look out for each other. You're in the line of duty. You're dealing with criminals, some of which are dangerous, not to understate the point. some of which are dangerous. But that also goes to the point that some of them are dangerous. Not all of them are dangerous. Not all of them are dangerous that look a certain way. But some people think so. Some people have that mentality that this person looks this way and they're dangerous. If you don't believe that, check out my man Donald Trump's rhetoric on a daily basis when he goes up to the podium and makes a speech. If you don't believe that people believe that some people who look a certain way are dangerous. And I believe that a good amount of police, especially police in urban areas, have been driven by this rhetoric of fear and security over the last 70 or 80 years or so, going further back, if you consider minorities, that they are dangerous and not to be trusted and are animalistic. They are a certain negative stereotype. The Irish were drunk. The Native Americans were warriors, and that's all they understood. And the African people, the Caribbean people were the same way, but they could not be taught, and they could not understand customs and culture. And I mean, it's the same thing as saying all Asian people are dedicated to study. Things like that. It's just a stereotype. That's what I'm trying to get across. It's just a stereotype. And that goes into this rhetoric of fear, because if you slap a label on somebody, then it's easier to categorize them and say, well, they're going to do this, so I need to do this. I automatically need to do this to defend myself. And as Montel said yesterday, if you've seen the video of the Laquan McDonald shooting, this is the difference in it. There couldn't really be fear. There really shouldn't be fear to that level where if someone's walking away from you, you shoot them that many times, and then after they're not a threat, you're shooting them more, and then after you've run out of bullets to shoot them with, you get ready to reload and somebody has to stop you from doing it. We argued about whether the murder one charge would stick. I definitely want to hear your feedback on that if you can. Once I post this, please comment on Facebook, comment wherever it's posted, because I want to hear your feedback if you think the charge of murder in the first degree will stick, because we argued about whether the state's attorney would be able to prove intent or not in this case, because of the things that go into that. It's pretty woolly, but God, yeah, man, it's almost difficult. It's really almost difficult to talk about this 2 weeks in a row, because I haven't been out to any protest. I haven't had the opportunity. I haven't had the chance since last week. But I know people are still mad, and I know they're still upset. I've been discussing with some people on on Facebook, about how the protest rhetoric is, why it is the way it is, and what it should be. And just to all those people, I say appreciate person, an old friend from Westmont that took time out to discuss this with me on Facebook and get her thoughts out there earlier today. But I want to say to everybody who isn't in Chicago, who isn't in the middle of a city, who isn't living in the neighborhoods that these people are living in, you got to understand, both sides are raised to kind of fear each other from an early age relative to their side. These black and minority children and these police officers, when they're sworn in as police officers, when they graduate from the academy, this is just how it seems to be, because these are the people that it keeps happening to. And I know people want to toss up what happened about this white boy, this young white kid that was killed in North Carolina by police. Like, it's not a narrative that's been created. I need people to get their heads out of their collective asses and stop saying it's a narrative that's been created by the media. Media's made a lot of missteps over the last few years. Don't get me wrong. They have not done the best job that they could in covering the news. Not just these cases of police brutality, of police misconduct, not just these cases of the coverage in the Middle East, or the coverage of the upcoming elections, or just local news coverage in general. It's been very profit margin, bottom line driven, and it hasn't been great at all times. And yes, there are very sometimes they're trying to push. Sometimes they're trying to push an agenda. You know the stations that are trying to push an agenda.